Welcome to the Quiet After Noise.
It's good to be here.
Usually when we sit down for one of these deep dives, there's this energy. I'm buzzing, we're chasing some new trend, decoding something chaotic. The world is just so loud.
It is.
But today, looking through these notes you've brought, it feels different. It feels quiet.
It has to be. You can't really shout about this material.
Right. Because today we're not talking about the noise. We're talking about what's left when it stops. We're talking about limits. And honestly, reading through this, I felt small, but in a good way,
And that's really the mission for this discussion. We're so used to measuring everything, aren't we? Our steps, our server latency, GDP. We are obsessed with the ruler.
Everything is a metric.
Everything.
Yeah.
But today we're asking a question that's actually quite uncomfortable for the modern mind. Is there a point where the measuring tape just runs out?
The end of the ruler.
Exactly. We're looking at how the biggest things, these cosmic phenomena that literally define our reality, align with the hard limits of our own understanding. We're going to try and peek at what exists beyond our sensory reach.
And I think to do that, we have to start with something that feels familiar. I mean, it's everywhere, light. But the more I looked into this, the more I realized I don't get it at all.
Light is the perfect place to start. It's the universal constant, the cosmic speed limit, but it completely breaks our intuition.
Okay, so here's the thing that got me. We know light takes time to travel. It takes, 8 minutes to get from the sun to Earth? So in my head, light is traveling, it's aging. But you're saying from the light's perspective, that's wrong.
That's completely wrong. This is one of those first points where human intuition just fails. If you're on Earth with a stopwatch, watching a photon leave the sun, yes, you measure 8 minutes, you wait.
Right.
But if you were that photon, if you could ride that beam of light, your stopwatch wouldn't tick, not even once.
0 time passes for the photon.
0. For light, the moment it's created in the star and the moment it hits your retina, maybe a billion years later, happen at the exact same instant. Time as the dimension just collapses for light. It's timeless.
That's barely comprehensible. It exists in our universe, but it doesn't play by our rules of time.
It's a hint. It's the universe telling us that time isn't some rigid box that holds everything. It's flexible. And if you push it hard enough or go fast enough, it vanishes.
Okay, so light breaks time. Let's talk about something that breaks space. And we don't have to look far. We're sitting here in the Milky Way galaxy.
We are. It's home.
And right at the center of it all, holding this whole thing together, is a supermassive black hole. We've all seen the movies. We know the concept. But what is it? Is it just a really heavy rock?
No, it's something fundamentally different. A black hole isn't just a dense object. It's more like a puncture in the fabric of reality. Think of the event horizon.
The point of no return.
Precisely. It's a one-way door. Once matter, or even light, crosses that line, it leaves our causality. We can't get data back from it.
Yeah.
So whatever happens inside is not just unknown.
It's unknowable.
Exactly. It is effectively outside the human capacity to measure or observe.
A cosmic appetite. I was reading that these things, if they're big enough, don't just eat dust and gas. They can swallow whole structures.
Oh, yes. The gravity just scales up. It can consume entire galaxies. It collapses the very structure of space itself into a single point.
But this is where the logic gets really interesting for me. If space and time break inside a black hole, does that just mean it's chaos? Or is there another system, a deeper system, taking over?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
If the rules we know fail, it strongly implies there's a deeper set of rules we can't see. Think of it like a piece of fabric tearing. The hole isn't nothing. The hole shows you what's underneath the fabric.
Its black holes could be connected through that underneath layer.
It's a powerful logical implication. If space-time is the surface and black holes are punctures in that surface, they very likely connect to some deeper substrate, a network beneath the reality we see.
Okay, a network beneath reality. Let's hold that thought, because before we go deeper, I want to go wider. Let's zoom all the way out. Is space infinite? Or is there, a brick wall at the end with a sign on it?
As far as any of our observations can tell, there's no wall. For all intents and purposes, space is effectively infinite. Up, down, left, right. It just keeps on going.
My brain actually hurts trying to picture that. We're not built for infinity. We like beginnings and ends. So how do we even talk about it without just shutting down?
We have to cheat. We scale it down to make it manageable.
How do you scale down forever?
By treating a massive piece of infinity as a single unit. In these notes, we call it a zara. It just means a particle or a speck. We take this impossibly huge section of the infinite. We treat it as one dot just so the logic can work.
A zara. Okay. But if we're talking about infinity, that speck isn't actually small, is it?
Not at all. That's the relativity of it. In the context of infinity, a single Zara could be millions, even billions of light years across. It's full of galaxies and clusters. It's massive to us, but relative to the whole thing, it's just dust.
This completely reframes our place in the cosmos. Because if we use that scale, then our Big Bang, this event, we think of as the ultimate beginning.
It becomes a small pop, a local event.
So the Big Bang isn't the beginning of everything.
If the base reality is infinite, then a Big Bang is just a process, something happening inside one of those particles, a localized expansion in a sea of infinity.
And if we apply that to time,
It's the same thing. If time is infinite, then the 14 billion years of our universe is just a blink of an eye, a fleeting moment.
which brings us to this analogy you highlighted, the bubble universe. I love this image. It helps me visualize it. Are we saying our universe is literally a bubble?
It's a powerful way to think about it. Imagine a huge pot of boiling water. Bubbles form, they expand, they have a surface, and eventually they burst. Compared to the infinity of space, our entire observable universe is just one of those bubbles.
It forms, it expands, and it pops.
Precisely.
And if space is infinite, then there must be infinite bubbles.
Logic would suggest so. If the medium, the water, is infinite, then the process repeats. Infinite bubbles, infinite universes, forming and popping.
Okay, but this is where my logical brain kicks in. Bubbles don't just appear from nothing. To get bubbles, you need the water. You need heat. You need a system that allows them to exist. You can't have the bubble without the water.
You've hit it exactly. That's the underlying framework. Repeatable patterns like universes forming. They imply a base reality that sustains them. You can't have the phenomenon without the medium.
So let's refine the analogy. If our universe is a bubble, is the infinity the water?
That's it. The bubbles look separate. They have their own boundaries, their own internal laws of physics.
Right.
But they all emerge from the same water, and they all dissolve back into it.
So everything is connected.
It has to be. Despite all the separation we see, me versus you, this galaxy versus that one, everything is just a different form of the same single base reality.
Okay. Let's trace this logical chain. We have infinite space, we have repeating patterns of creation, these bubbles, and we have a single base reality, the water, that sustains it all. If we strip away the jargon, we're pointing at something very specific here.
We are. Logically, it all points to a single underlying superpower.
A superpower.
Call it what you will, the singularity, God, Allah, Bhagwan. The names change with culture, but the logic is the same. A single unified reality is the most consistent explanation for this kind of infinite connected system.
And looking at the sheer scale of this, the complexity, does this creating power have to be unique? I mean, can it be compared to anything we know?
It must be beyond comparison. Think about the bubble and the water again. The bubble is temporary limited. The water is the permanent source. The source can't be like the things it creates.
It feels like we're back at that wall of intuition. We talked about black holes, places where our understanding just stops. Is it possible that this underlying reality has hidden its true power in those exact blind spots?
It's not just possible. It's logically elegant. Where does our reach end? At the event horizon. At the beginning of time. At the edge of what we can observe. Where our measurements fail, that's exactly where the deeper reality would reside.
It's not hidden because it wants to be secret. It's hidden because our tools are too small.
Precisely. You can't measure the ocean with a teaspoon.
This is the real pivot point for me. We've built this entire logical structure from physics and cosmology, but you've brought in a totally different data set. You brought in ancient text,
I did.
specifically the Qur'an. Now, normally science and scripture are kept separate, but I want to look at this as a source of data on the very boundaries we've just been mapping out.
And that's the right way to approach it.
Yeah.
As a comparative analysis. When you do that, you find this consistent theme of, well, what we could call epistemic limits. Limits on what we can know.
Right. There's a specific verse about how little knowledge we actually have.
Yes. Qur'an Surah 17, Ayat 85. It's a powerful statement. It says, you've been given very little knowledge.
It's a reality check.
It's a check on our ego. It suggests that no matter how much we learn, certain realities will always remain outside the bubble of human understanding.
Speaking of things outside our understanding, let's go back to black holes, these gravitational monsters. You found a verse that seems to point directly at them.
This one is fascinating. It's in Qur'an Surah 56, Ayat 75 and 76. The text makes an oath, but instead of swearing by the sun or the moon, it swears by the locations of stars falling.
The locations of stars falling, not the stars themselves.
No, the locations of their collapse. And then the text says, "This is indeed a great oath if you only knew."
Why focus on the location? That seems so specific.
Well, a star is just an object, but the location of its collapse is a phenomenon. It's a singularity. It's where the rules break down. It aligns perfectly with the idea of an event horizon, an invisible location of immense power.
And what about time? We talked about how time is relative, how it's different for light than for us. Does the text touch on that?
Explicitly, time relativity is a core theme. Qur'an Surah 22, Ayat 47, says that a day with your Lord is like 1,000 years of your counting.
1,000 years to our one day.
Right. But then you look at Qur'an Surah 70, Ayat 4, and it describes angels ascending in a day that is equal to 50,000 years.
50,000. Wow. So it's not even one fixed ratio.
No, it suggests that time is not a constant. It's relative to the observer and their plane of existence. It's a sliding scale, which is exactly what our understanding of time dilation suggests. The divine time scale is not human time.
What about the universe itself, the bubble expanding? For a long time, the common view was that the universe was static, right? Just there.
Correct. But the text describes a dynamic process. Quran Surah 51, Ayat 47 talks about building the heaven, the cosmos, and says we are expanding it.
Expanding it. That's literally what we observe.
And it goes back even further. Quran Surah 21, Ayat 30 mentions that the heavens and the earth were a single joined entity before being separated.
Like the initial singularity before the Big Bang, a unified mass that was then torn apart.
Exactly. It's describing an explosion and an expansion, not a static painting.
And woven through all this is the idea of precision, that this isn't just random chaos.
Yes. Quran Surah 54, Ayat 49 says, "Indeed, all things we created with measure." There's a defined order. And crucially, it circles back to the uniqueness of that superpower. Quran Surah 112, Ayat 4 states, "And there is no one comparable to him."
That closes the loop. The water can't be the same as the bubble. The creator is not like the creation.
Precisely. And the scale of that difference is, well, there's a metaphor in Quran Surah 31, Ayat 27. It says, "If all the trees on earth were pens and the ocean was ink, with 7 more oceans to back it up, the words of Allah would not be exhausted."
What an image.
It's about scale. Our reality, our tools are finite. The underlying reality is infinite. You can't record the infinite with finite tools.
And there was one more, about the limit of sight.
Yes. Quran Surah 53, Ayat 17. "The sight did not waver, nor did it transgress." It refers to a specific vision, but the principle is universal. There's a boundary where our perception simply stops.
Okay, let's step back. We built this logical chain from physics, light, black holes, infinity. And then we have these verses from the 7th century that align with those very specific, very modern concepts. Can we really dismiss this as, I don't know, a series of lucky guesses?
I don't think you can. Not logically. A single vague line, maybe. Yeah. But the consistency, the focus on the limits of knowledge, the expansion, the relativity, it's not random. It's a pointer.
A pointer to that single reality we deduced.
Yes.
It's the consistency that's so compelling. The framework holds together.
And it leads back to that core idea.
Hmm.
The source of this reality must be unique, beyond comparison. If the bubbles are temporary, the water is permanent.
I have to ask you then, sitting here now having this quiet discussion, can you logically reject this conclusion?
No, I can't. The logic chain is internally consistent. It holds. Whether you start from a black hole or from these verses, you arrive at the same boundary, the same limit. It's very difficult to reject on a purely logical basis.
So this isn't about blind belief. It's about evaluation.
Exactly. It's about evaluating the pattern. These verses aren't scientific formulas. They're indicators. They're signposts that point to the boundaries of human thought, to where the noise of our own measuring stops and where the silent reality begins.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it? We chase so much knowledge, but maybe the greatest wisdom is understanding the limits of what we can know.
And that's not a defeat. Accepting that limit is the first step toward true understanding. We're small, yes, but we are aware of the infinite.
Quiet after noise. It really is the perfect name for it. When all the noise of our day-to-day measurements fades, we're left with this silent, infinite reality that holds everything.
And we are just one tiny part of it, a speck inside a Zara.
Thank you for listening. We'll sit together again with another thought. Till then, take care and quietly look within.